People blow money on their business trying to do the wrong side of things.
Yes.
Trying to do the things that aren't actually the thing moving the needle forward.
Yes.
And they're throwing all this money at ads, and maybe they think it's working, maybe it's profitable, but if you could just get that conversion rate up to 2% instead of 1%,
yes,
you would double things.
So you have a super viral video. I think it's on your Facebook page, isn't it? Of when you were super young. You were on
like
TV.
18.
Super viral video, was talking crazy. How did that? I still don't know how that happened though. Like, how did you get into like being a public speaker? Because you were 18.
Yeah, I mean, so like every kid over here, I wanted to play sports in college. In 2014, I had 2 surgeries. I had a knee surgery, had an ankle surgery, and like all my attention was on that. I wanted to play sports, blah, blah, blah. But when that was taken away my junior year, like, as you know, like that's like the year that's very important for you. I was laying in bed recovering from this surgery, pain medication, everything. I have a stepbrother, and when we were like 8th grade, we wanted to be rappers.
Okay.
Like just like make stuff for YouTube and whatnot. We did. But we had like these like the condenser mics, the USB mics.
Yeah.
So I was like recovering from this knee surgery, and for whatever reason, I was in our guest room and this mic was there.
Yep.
And so I just plugged it in and I just hit record and like closed my eyes and just started speaking. And like looking back, it was like the very cliche, cheesy, you know, the stuff when you first read Think and Grow Rich type stuff.
Yeah.
But I posted it on SoundCloud like I was a rapper, and posted it on Facebook, and people were like, this is kind of cool. And I was like, I want to be a motivational speaker. Yeah. No one saw me as that. No one booked me as that. But then I was like, okay, I need to get gigs. Right?
I had no idea that was the case.
And so I had 0 opportunities to actually go and speak. But I was like, I'm a motivational speaker. So I like made a list of all these small organizations, like within a certain radius of Grapevine where I'm from. And let's say it was Rotary Clubs, Lions Clubs, small businesses and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm gonna reach out to all of them. And I sent them this long paragraph, which I tell people not to do now, like about just my life story and everything. Yeah. And I can't make it up, like one of them responded.
Yeah.
And I went to this event. It was at the Grapevine Lions Club. And I expected everyone to be there, like 100 people in suits and ties, and this would be the big event. I showed up, there was one guy there. I can't make it up. He's mopping the floor. He looked at me, had no idea who I was. And I'm like, yeah, I'm the speaker for today. He's like, I don't know who you are. And finally, the person that I was in contact with showed up. And, you know, there was like 3 other like really old people that showed up. They're like asking me if I want some pie. Like they're just eating, having a good time. I'm wanting this to be like my event. Like
like this is your moment.
And for a minute, I was super disappointed. And I was like, what? This isn't what I expected. But one thing that I felt God put in my heart while I was doing that was like, would you do it if it's a small thing? And if you can be trusted with small things, I'll give you bigger things. And so I said, you know what? This is a small thing, but I'm not going to treat it like that. I'm going to treat it like it's some of the biggest things I've done. And so I went in front of these 5 old people and I said, my name is Kyle Dendy. I'm a 17-year-old motivational speaker. And today I'm going to teach you how to master your past. And I shared my story and I gave it everything like it was some of the bigger things I've done.
Yeah, you're out there TD Jakes just.
And I literally today use that same framework to book events for me and for others. Literally a few days ago, for like X amount of thousands of dollars, I taught somebody how to do it. That's an agency. Because I'm kind of stepping away from that. And it's funny because the same stuff I was doing at a small scale still works at a big scale. A lot of people in my space or the speaking space try to overcomplicate it, but it's like my course that has crazy results is the same stuff I was doing at 17. I just now know how to find the decision makers better, who to target, what to say. Don't send your life story, send a short, like all this sort of stuff. But it's been really cool.
I've been thinking about this a lot. So obviously, you know, I work with a few guys in that space. On business, but finances, whatever else. I've come to the conclusion that a lot of guys, sure spending, sure bad education, but I also think a lot of guys who have been in high positions like the NFL really struggle to transition to the business side because you do have to eat a little bit of shit to do it. Like you do have to kind of step to the side and like bring yourself down from I'm the NFL player making millions to now I'm like, you don't know anything about business.
It's learning again. It's again. And that's honestly the toughest part because you're at the pinnacle of success in one field. And then it's over and then you have to jump to another and now you know nothing. You may know a little bit, but you're not elite yet. So figuring that out and being humble
Did you go through any of that when you started Cooking Society?
Yeah.
Because you're a proud guy. Like,
No. But the beauty in it is I'm able to self-eval and assess myself and understand that I have to be humble, because this is something I don't know. Even though, I was great at football and I was able to go to the NFL and be at the top in that profession, this is totally different. So I'm making sure that I'm doing everything that I can to be great at this as well.
Was there any moment for you where you were doing the speaker stuff that you were like, this is great, but I feel like I should be doing something, I don't want to say bigger, but like,
oh man,
you know what I
that's
mean?
so good. I mean, dude, yes, because for me, I was at a really interesting place at 17 years old, really like 16. I had the chance to do preaching and speak in a church and stuff like that. But my first love was entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Like I literally, in second grade, I was a shoe shiner, had my own shoe shining business, door to door. Before that, awesome. Bro, I would literally sell ice to kids. Yeah. They would come to my house, like those little plastic cups your parents have, and I would fill it with water, and then I put these puff balls in it, put it in the freezer, and then break the cup, give it to them. They'd give me money for it. They'd go home, it would melt on the way home. They would come back and buy more ice. Entrepreneurship was like my first passion. But when I publicly was doing a lot of the speaking and preaching, so many people said pastor, evangelist, and all these things, which is, cool. But I think titles are fine if they're coming from other people. But the moment you place the title on yourself, you're going to put yourself in a box. And so I struggled for years with I want to do this, but I also want to start a business and grow this and scale this. And so I think the pandemic for me was really, I don't want to say awesome, a lot of people went through a lot of things, but I was running so hard at the speaking thing that I didn't really have the time to focus the way that I wanted to on the business side of things. Yes. So where now, when I'm asked to speak, I'm the first one to say yes to it. But I've realized, let's say my goal as a speaker, like a lot of people say, I want to help a lot of people. I can help a lot more people teaching 1,000 people how to get on stages speaking than saying, I've got to be the guy. Yeah. So I think it may say on my Instagram now, it used to say public figure, now it says private figure. Yeah. I'm trying to influence the influencers more than I'm trying to be the influencer. And in doing that, I've happened to make more, and I've happened to impact a lot more people too.
Yes. Super huge. That's kind of crazy to think about.
No, that's very interesting, man. I like that take. And honestly, I think the pandemic, as bad as it was for a lot of people, I think it was an opportunity for a lot of us to self-eval and look at ourselves.
To pause for a minute.
And figure out, figure out life and figure out what we want out of it. And it was one of those self-reflection moments for myself too.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's interesting, back to what we talked about earlier, is you met me right before that, and I was selling this $19 product that, I, without the pandemic, would have forever been trying to figure out how to squeeze
optimize that out. Yep.
You can only squeeze so much out of that. And so I had to start from scratch. I got, I was in New York City, at the altar, phone in my pocket, Stripe notifications going off from this product. And then, that was also my source of income, that and the speaking tours for why I was comfortable signing up for a marriage, right? Yeah. And then from there, days later, New York shut down, country shut down, world shut down. I started from zero. And that's what you said a minute ago. You got to be humble and say, okay, I may have spent a year optimizing this, but now I got to start from scratch instead of being what do you do? Cross your fingers like somebody's coming to save you?
Yeah. Yeah, I love, one thing I know about you, because obviously we're friends, is I think most people would have been satisfied with what you were doing and what you were making selling a $37 product though. Because I don't want it to get painted. You were doing well doing that. And so where did you get, your ambition level from? This idea of not settling in on I don't want this. Because I know you, so you're always going for the next thing that's right for you.
I like nice things.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And nice things. Yeah, right? I remember that was definitely not the time to do it, but pre-pandemic, my course, $19 course doing well, I'm showing you pictures of McLarens, stuff like that. But I think the type of, my son is going to be born in 3 months, and the type of lifestyle that I want to provide for my wife and my son, that what I want to provide is expensive. Yeah. And so I think part of it is that, but even lately, last year, I got a lot of stuff out of my system as far as spending and stuff like that. But this year I'm like, no, I want to set this kid up for like, but I would like to ask you guys have both like achieved a lot of success at a young age. Do you feel like some of you've got to get the itch out, you've got to get it out of your system to like financially like.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
I got cool stories for days, man. Like, going from a 20-year-old kid getting $600 a month on a scholarship check to making millions of dollars. And buying some really stupid things.
Yeah.
It makes you get that itch out for sure. And then you realize a lot of that stuff that you wanted, you don't really want.
For sure.
Honestly, and one of the things I learned from an older guy in the locker room was it's okay to want nice things, like you deserve it. But make sure you put value in the things that are important. You don't just go get things because you think that's what society says. Get what you like. So for me, I like a nice house. I like a nice watch. But I'm not a huge car guy. And that's okay. So I get the things that I like, and I get nice things in that category.
Yeah, I really do think, yes, there's an itch, but also I think it's a matter of when you go too far, too linear on the somewhat of that side, there's complexity that comes with it. Like, you overcomplicate your life in some ways. Yeah. And so I don't even know that it's necessarily you get to a point where you're like, oh, I don't need this stuff or like this stuff. I think what happens is you're like, how can I make this less complicated?
Yes.
And I think I got to a point a few years ago where I was like, this is getting too complicated. I need to simplify out my lifestyle, because I still do like nice things. Like, I for sure like nice things. Also, it also depends on I think where you're trying to go though. Like, one of the things I want to get into, because we talk a lot about business models and we've explored Cookie Society business model, ATD business model. I think you have a really interesting business model because you can do a lot with what you do without having to have like a crazy staff.
Infrastructure.
Yeah, a lot of that, which I think is super unique and probably more of a side effect of like the era we're in now. And I think a lot of people who watch this type of content can maybe empathize with that. But for the type of business model I have, it's expensive to run what I run.
Right.
And so I got to the point where I'm like, I'll just put everything back into that model. And so now I'm back in what I feel like is that early grind stage where it's like everything we're doing, we're just putting back in. But don't get me wrong. Catch me in about 5 years once we hit the little IPO dollars, and then I'll be back to doing it.
And it sounds like what you're talking about is like the ability to delay gratification, which is something that I'm like learning in real time.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm hard on myself, like, oh, why did I buy that or do this? But then I'm like, also, like, I don't know, I don't have parents or whatever that were 24 doing this, or that were internet entrepreneurs using their phone to make this kind of money, like their phone. And so it's like, I'm learning it in real time, what matters, what doesn't. And so I think like there's grace for that. And like, I'm wiser.
For
I think
sure.
Last year I purchased a lot of wisdom.
But one of the things I said is like, and I'm thankful for guys like you in my life, because I think that's part of this is you need to know if you're a person out there who's like making money or starting, especially early on, like you a few years ago, right? You got to find a mentor who's done it. Like, maybe not mentorship's the word because I don't know that that's for it, but you have to know somebody who's been young, who's figured it out. Because the idea of not having a picture of that can land you in some like.
Well, it's not even not having a picture; it's having
the wrong
pictures. Because like, a lot of people on social media that are young with money making it on the internet. Yeah. There is a picture they present to you.
Yes.
But it may not be the person who has the long-term goal. That may be new money and fast money. That they haven't been around for 10 years. I'm not saying they won't be around.
But there is a such thing as fast money.
It's a part of the persona. I have to do this to be able to keep in this circle of look like I'm successful. And I'll say this, man. Understand, you're having a kid now, so that's going to change your perspective a lot on what you're doing with money. And also, just understanding like your why.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing certain things? It's a part of the process. When you're young, you're going to do those types of things.
Yeah. Because you are navigating that, right? Like, even at 26, almost 27, I still... daily I'm like, what is I know a general place of the purpose,
I get that.
Direction, but it's trying to navigate materially in my life. What do I need to manifest to fulfill that like why
and it's interesting because when I was doing speaking and namely like a lot of like preaching and stuff, the why felt excruciatingly clear. Purpose felt so clear, whereas like on this side sometimes it's not as clear. And so it's like a constant journey of like not even just finding but remembering it and getting back to, what that picture is. And like having a son and definitely adds more clarity because my life is less focused on like me and self, centered. And more about like my wife and my kid now. So
you're gonna find yourself thinking like, how do I make sure they're set up and their kids are set up, as opposed to like the moment you're in right now.
Sure.
I do think it's interesting. I don't want to say this like this is subjective. This is purely just my thought process. Something I picked up on, my analysis. People typically, you're like where you were when you were starting earlier on and hitting the success you were that young, aren't necessarily like relationship guys. Maybe like you don't see a lot of 22-year-old really successful guys being like, you know what I want to do? I want to settle down.
Right.
So what was that process for you? Sure, like balancing the come up plus also.
Oh no, that's so good. I mean, for me. So I've known my wife since 8th grade. We got connected at our school in Grapevine. There was like this etiquette class, and they paired up a guy with a girl. And like we got paired up in 8th grade. And so one thing is like my wife Chandler we didn't meet when I was already like fill in the blank, like doing whatever.
Yes.
And so like she saw me when I had no business.
Yes.
Before I did any speaking. Like she actually was speaking before I was, and I remember watching her speak and being like, that's so cool. And so there's that side of it, but too, like even when we got married, I was like at the cusp of about to
explode,
be able to buy, that kind of stuff. And so I think it grounded me a lot. Mm-hmm. I think some of the things I had to get out of my system would have been a lot more if I wasn't married, because big purchases came with conversations and things like that, and other priorities. But I think it grounded me a lot because I really think I just would have really kind of gone, because I moved to LA and I was coming back from there to get married, so it's like I would have been going back there and just trying to keep up with that.
Keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
So I can definitely relate. I'm happy you alluded to that, and like you gave your wife that compliment, because when you find a good woman that you make your wife, it really will make you better.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I got married at 24.
Yeah.
I was in my second year in the league. I was, a millionaire on the way to my second contract, and I would have made a lot more mistakes, and I had clouded judgment if I weren't married and had a good woman by my side. And that's important, so shout out to your wife.
I take that. A little clap for Channa, like that.
It's interesting because like I said, with like a lot of people that I follow on social media that are successful internet entrepreneurs, many of them do not care for the things of God, and they're single.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't look at them to get a picture of what I should be aiming for.
Yeah.
And so that's something like I mean, there's plenty of times I remove the Instagram app off my phone. One thing I do, there's the Facebook Business Suite app. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I use that so I can just have comments, DMs, just no feed and explore page basically. Because I find like when I'm scrolling, that like affects my why and my desire and like my aim compared to when I'm maybe offline and like have more of a less clouded judgment about what that should be.
Can I ask you something? Thinking about like seeing other people, but also building something, because I'm right in saying you didn't come from like money, like at least not the type of money
middle
you have.
class. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Never didn't have anything I needed, but middle class. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you gotten to the point yet to where the fear of losing it's gone? Did you ever deal with that really? Where you like had slight moments where you're like, shit, is this all gonna go away?
Dude, I think the thing I struggle with is like, well, fortunately, a lot of like my expenses do go back into the business or our business expenses per se, but like I'll like blow money on the business sometimes to try to experiment, to try to make this connection, to try to do this and that. And so I think I'm not where I want to be as far as like to where it's completely gone, but I also think I have like that fear, but I also think I have like this resilience to where that fear like isn't hindering me, doesn't like get to me per se.
You have an entrepreneur spirit.
I'll do it again.
You're like, I can do it. I can make it back.
Right. And I think like that is what 2020 definitely taught me. And I think last year too, even about like, I think one of my strongest traits is resilience. Yeah. Because I know for a fact I've walked up against things in the last year and a half that would have taken out many people.
For sure. Yes.
Yeah. So I think that truly being an entrepreneur, because today everyone's an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you can start an LLC for $49 plus state fees.
Yeah. Inkfile.com.
Yeah. Right. But to be able to not freak out and panic in the situation that the average person would is, I think, what makes,
So do you think you're born an entrepreneur, or you think that's something?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a great question.
Yeah, you born or you made? That's a great question.
I'm gonna say born. I feel like I was born with this.
Yeah, I think you're born an entrepreneur. I think it's like anything. It's like, I'm not a great singer. Can I take singing lessons and get better? Sure, but I'm not going to out-sing the person who has that gift.
Yeah, my genetics limit me for being 6'5", 300 pounds. Like, I'm not going to be a lineman in the NFL no matter how much I try.
And I think also, it's some of the challenges you have to go through. Yeah. And I think a lot of people want prize and they want reward, but they don't want to go through the fire that forges you. Like I lost my dad at 5 to suicide, right? Yeah. And so from an early age, like, I was the only man in our house. Yeah. And like, so when my mom told me on a napkin in Dallas about you could start a business and not work for somebody else, but have an uncapped earning potential, I was like, let's go door to door today. Yeah. And so I think, like, I wouldn't wish a lot of circumstances that I've been through on anybody, but if you haven't been through anything, you're gonna have a problem going through something the first time something happens.
I gave you that callus.
I've been through so much that, like, another thing isn't gonna take me out.
I love that. Yeah, I think there is something. A lot of the people I see sustain have had that moment in their life where it was like, there was a decision to be made. Because people can go through a traumatic event like that, and some of those people wind up being in bad, vicious circles for the rest of their life. Like, it turns into, whether it be like numbing problems with whatever their vices are. Like, people can go different directions. What do you accredit going the direction you went towards?
I mean, my faith in Christ, for sure. Yeah. My mother, she made a decision from an early age that, what happened at the start of our life, I have a twin sister as well, was not going to determine what's going to happen in our future. And so she made sure that we had, we were in a great school, we had great people around us. A lot of people in my situation would have and did become statistics. Right. And so at an early age, like, I don't think that was fully just in my power to be a 5-year-old and I'm not going to be a statistic. Like, that takes people who have influence in your life to say, I'm going to make sacrifices to make sure that what happened isn't going to, take you out.
Yeah, 100%. I want to touch on your business model, but I want to preface for a second. You talked about earlier, like, not everybody's entrepreneurs or the forge of the fire and all this type of stuff. I think that we should clarify a couple things. I think that I've learned in age, it gets different when you start managing a lot of employees. Yes. And, like, if you're going to take on the responsibility of managing employees, you have to hold yourself responsible and accountable to go through that type of fire. Like, that's rule number one. You have to be the leader. Your character has to be on point. And knowing you're someone who takes those things really seriously for yourself. So maybe talk about the decision-making process you go through in deciding, do I want to have to build out infrastructure, or, like, do you match it off your lifestyle? Do you match it off of, like, your ambition? How does that process work?
Honestly, the type of businesses I've been involved in haven't required a lot of infrastructure. Now, there's definitely people in my shoes that, the second they want to go get an office and do this and that. But a lot of, in my specific line of work, that is what you mentioned earlier, which is some of it is unnecessary complexity. Yes. Like, I have, like, really one person that works with me that does really whatever I need, and, like, we'll do specific tasks a lot. It would be, when I was in LA, I was like, I was looking at Beverly Hills offices. Yeah. For what?
Yeah. Yeah, to have a Beverly Hills office. Like, that's it. Yeah.
Right. And so for me, the infrastructure has just worked out like that. And I'm very grateful for it because, like, the tools that we have today, from social media and Instagram and all these things, like, I'll sit on the couch and make deals, which is very unique, but it's like, we were born at this era, and so we want to make the most of it. We have more technology in that phone than they sent people to the moon with, right? And so it's like, I see people all the time complain about Instagram isn't giving me reach. Like, look at what they are giving you. Yeah. The opportunity to monetize it, to connect with anybody, to grow a following, an audience, a personal brand. Yeah. Like, I've met with celebrities because of Instagram.
Right. Crazy.
Like, had huge things happen because of a video on social media. Yeah. So I'm not going to complain about reach on a free app.
Hold up. Before we go to this business model thing any deeper, though, tell me, you did a Kanye tour thing. You started Speed of Celebrities. Talk about that. I sent that text, right?
Yeah. I'm a big Kanye guy.
And you see the photo on his Instagram? I think that's so dope. How did that happen?
Dude, the full story is longer than we have time for here. But the long story short, I was actually promoting a business, one of my businesses, And within the campaign, I happened to, for whatever reason, add videos that did not have anything to do with the business, but it was just like me talking inspiration to the camera.
Yep. Somebody
saw that and they sent it to Kanye West. And I'm trying to say what I can say and whatnot, but long story short, next thing I know, a week later, I was out in Calabasas, and for the next few months, got to go out there a lot and travel around with them and do some speaking and stuff like that. But it's like, it came from Instagram.
Isn't that crazy?
I mean, that's how Oprah found us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Instagram, from our social media presence, nothing else.
So like, what does a dude do then? Or like, if you're a person who's trying to get into, do they need 109,000 followers? Do they need to be someone who already has like that? Like,
dude, you know what? One thing that actually helped me get my business off the ground when I shifted to PR actually came from you, but it wasn't a direct, hey Kyle, do this. It was something you talked about a lot, and it was like using Instagram for like outreach, like just direct cold outreach. And so I started optimizing that and doing it in a really targeted way that didn't cost me anything, or whatever. So like when I, the speaking business kind of had to start over because COVID, everything just shut down completely. I was starting from complete scratch, dabbling in some things, didn't really like it. Then I was like, I'm going to do PR, and I'm going to give you real numbers. I made a list of, it was like 400 people that I thought would need this $1,000 product, let's say. And I reached out to all 400 of them, and just via DM for free, and made like 55 grand. And then I was like, I'm going to scale this. And then we scaled that to 7 figures.
Insane.
We scaled it with ads.
But by the way, and like Kyle's talented, could somebody listen to your life story and be like, talented's like, or Kyle's just a different guy? I know dudes who like in person, you would talk to them and be like, that guy can't sell, water to a thirsty person.
Sure.
Who are in their DMs right now, and their company's doing $1 million a year off of just Instagram DMs. And like they're just selling a marketing package or an ad package, and they are doing it on repeat. So it definitely is something that, with the right intention and training, anybody can do.
Anybody can. I think this is where a lot of people mess up. And I know you see this all the time. Like they try to sell something maybe that they want, but that the market doesn't want. They build a t-shirt company and that has like their name on it. And like that's the logo is the design.
I'm about to be Virgil. I got you.
Exactly. Like at a certain scale, Kanye can put Donda on a t-shirt
for sure
and sell it. But until you have the brand that's behind that, you need to build things that other people want. And the faster you can realize that and frame all your thinking about how can I give you what you need, people will buy.
It makes me think of Marissa, because I feel like Marissa's really smart with that type of stuff. Because with the way that she did, so Marissa, when they started Cookie Society, would like send cookies to the locker room for all the NFL guys, and they would try. But you go through that in your business a bit of like, if you put out a cookie that you like but no one else does, it's not moving anywhere.
Even our customers like cookies, but we're to the point where like even more detail. What cookie do you want within our company? Like, if we bring something out last year, it doesn't do well, we don't bring it back. So. Like this month, for instance, we brought turtle back because that was our top selling cookie last year. And that's something we're going to bring back 3 times this year because of that. Same with butter cake. Things like so that. Good. So year by year, we're keeping that data and making sure that we're giving our customers what they want, not what we think they want.
And it's that word though, it's data. And I think a lot of people, when you scale with ads, as you know, like you get data faster, but a lot of times what people don't do is they build one first iteration of a product and just like then try to run with it. But like, for example, for me, I sell a lot of stuff just via my Instagram story today. I don't really post a lot on my regular feed, but I'll put out, I'll do YouTube verification for you in my story, or I will put you in this publication. A lot of times people they'll hit me up and assume like every one of those stories pops off. That's not the case. I'm getting so much data. Like when I put this story up, 200 people say, I want this. When I put this one up, 4 people do. Why would I keep trying to scale this, even if I like it?
It's so good. And a lot of times, by the way, adversely, the things that you think will work often aren't the things that do it. Like we're in a business, ATD's growing like crazy. We'll do 115 or some odd businesses this month alone, right? And so our ad information we're getting back is insane because we're managing well into the 7 figures a month. The things that look great, that landing pages that you're like, damn, that look like Oprah's page or something, often don't work. And this shitty ClickFunnels page that looked like some 7-year-old put it together will sell the shit out of a product. And the dichotomy of that's so difficult for people to get.
It is. And it's the difference between a funnel and a website too. It's like I had a website that, I mean, the one that did 7 figures like looked pretty spammy if you look at it, but it was optimized to like the 0.0001%. And I would have these like website agency people in my DMs talking about, hey, this is awful website. I'll help you. And it's like, I'm not trying to look pretty.
Yes.
Which I think is a lot of people in entrepreneurship and in business and what their product is, they're trying to look pretty.
I've never talked about this on this podcast before, but in 15, what are you guys, like 16 months in now? They're 16 months in. We've scaled, like we're hitting 5 this year. We're in 3 states now. ATD's gone crazy. And the primary mode of the way we've done that is by our sales. So our sales, Alex is back. He texts me about every 20 minutes to close the deal. We're selling anywhere from 3 to 5 contracts a day, which in our space is pretty wild.
Yeah.
But we sell predominantly non-production packages, even though production. Our point is like, you don't want the thing that looks the prettiest. Yeah. You want us to go into your ad account, find out where the CPM issues are, the CTR issues are, where your audience issues are, and make videos that fill the gap for where the information is lacking for you. So you can get somebody to sell you a 10K video that looks great, but we're going to evaluate the ads and give you something that informationally works for your business. And it's so easy because we're not even competing on aesthetics. We're competing on profitability. We're competing on CPMs, which is such a better game to be playing.
People blow money on their business trying to do the wrong side of things.
Yes.
Trying to do the things that aren't actually the thing moving the needle forward.
Yes.
And they're throwing all this money at ads, and maybe they think it's working, maybe it's profitable, but if you could just get that conversion rate up to 2% instead of 1%, you would double things.
It would be, people don't realize how like small micro improvements or optimization makes, especially at scale of traffic. Like there's so many companies where if I can get you from 1.7 to 1.9, you're talking about a ROAS difference of 3 to 4.5 or whatever it would be. Like it's massive changes as that goes.
Yeah. Oh, at scale, all that stuff matters.
Yeah. How do you approach? So do you do any paid traffic for your stuff anymore? All organic?
Dude, the cool thing about my space is with verification, like people can't deliver it, and a lot of people who say they can don't end up doing it. So a lot of times people are coming to me saying, I just got burned by this person and this person. So there's more demand than that, but also like with these aren't, $19 things, right?
Yeah.
And so even with my audience now, most people aren't in a position to like do most of those packages with me, which is fine. But I mean, we have an endless supply of like leads for it because even other agencies now are like, hey, I was trying to do this for this client, I couldn't do it. Please take this. So I right now am trying to optimize less about how can I run an ad to scale it and more about how can I cut the fulfillment time down. Yeah. And I don't like carrying a load of backlog of, okay, we're still working on these people. And with this type of service, the faster I deliver, the faster they tell their friends about it. And it's like just...
So your overhead is nothing. You don't pay for marketing. You have very minimal employees. You Jeff is in tears because he runs...
I am in tears.
Jeff's thinking about his P&Ls right now of how much overhead they have to run for a physical business. You're like the epitome of a 21st, like...
Yeah, I mean, I pay for like ClickFunnels, like...
That's $97 a month, Kyle.
Yeah, I get the
$197, whatever it is,
Yeah, little things like that. And then I've got a guy that I pay, fairly every month, and
crazy. So what's the scale, or maybe not scale plan is the wrong word because I don't even know what your ambition is. Like, what do you want to turn it into? What's the goal?
I want to, like I said, within my space, which is like social media verification, there are very few, for a lot of reasons, very few people that can deliver it. And part of it is like not everyone's supposed to be verified. That's the whole point, right? But with that, I want to have my processes down to where for anybody, we could get it done very fast because that's the one bottleneck. Yeah. The turnaround time. And we've gotten it down and we'll continue to do so. But I want to make a lot of money there and then learn and figure out and humbly and still learning this, where to move that stuff to. Because I feel like last year I spent money on a lot of things that I probably didn't have to because I didn't really have a vision for what else to do with it. Yeah. Like real estate isn't something I'm versed in today. Sure. And like maybe a lot of other, opportunities, things like that.
Jeff, spill your shit because you did it. You went from the NFL, taking a big bag and moved it into a whole bunch of different stuff. So like, what was?
I wouldn't say a bunch of stuff. So my focus primarily right now is Cookie Society. Yeah. I spent the past 28 months like all in on this. Yeah. Now I'm slowly transitioning into real estate a little bit more. And I'm going to focus on that. So I'll still focus on Cookie Society, but that's at a point where it's pretty much running itself now. It's time for me to transition to something else.
I feel like, though, I'm just like giving you a tap pushback. You're a little too humble for my desire sometimes. You do a lot in crypto. You've had rentals in other places.
But
you do a lot.
At first, that crypto was a little bit different because so when I retire, you get a severance package. Okay. After you retire. So it was the play money for me. And I was like, I don't know nothing about crypto. I'm just start throwing it in there.
So and everybody does?
I started to research after everyone who gets vested. If you play more than 3 seasons in the NFL, you get a severance pay.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, so I got that check and I was like, I'm not going to buy anything with it. Let me throw some money into crypto.
I do think there's something interesting to that. I find successful people venture into other things. They're really playful with the way they address things. And you mentioned earlier, you're very like, just put it in, test it, and see what happens. I feel like I'm a little bit that way. What stuff do you like try to test out? Have you messed with
investments go?
Anything? Like,
dude, so one thing for me is definitely crypto because and we'll talk about NFTs in a second too. NFTs for sure.
Yeah, I want to know.
So for crypto, I really like it because a lot of people that I work with and like have, whether it's partners or fulfillment or whatever, operate in the space. A lot of people, it's like so taboo to them, but like it is, in my opinion, at least for my line of work, better. Yeah. Like I was on the phone for 30 minutes on the drive here with Bank of America because I sent somebody a wire yesterday and it like hasn't hit. And it's like, I've never had that with crypto. Yeah. It hits in like 30 seconds. And so for me, like that's definitely one. NFTs I was in for a minute and I don't know if you guys have ever seen this with new things that you've tried, but like the beginner's luck, that scene, whatever you want to call it. Like, bro, I was hitting everything on my first, like NFT things, just like flipping this and growing the bag there. And then there was a project. So what I decided to do, I had a PR agency that I scaled up last year. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I want to shift this to total Web3, which is like crypto, NFT, all that stuff. And so I started off, I have 2 stories for this. I wanted to turn that and to do PR for NFT projects and stuff like that. And within the NFT space, if you really want a chance to like make sure money, you want to get on what's called a whitelist, which just means it's the pre-sale. And it means you're guaranteed to get one, but it's also, you can flip it before public sale and you're going to make money as long as pre-sale sells out. And so I was reaching out to all these projects and there was a project called Azuki. And I was like, I definitely, want to reach out to these guys. And I did. And this is insane, but they offered me like 10 whitelist spots to do, some PR for them. And I was kind of like getting greedy about it in my plans, like on paper. I was like, nah, I want them to, instead of doing that, just to airdrop me, which just means send me some NFTs instead. Yeah. Instead of me having to like get a whitelist, have all these accounts, go get it, whatever. Bro, I ended up not working with them because I chose not to. And they ended up being like one of the biggest projects, like drops of like, maybe the biggest drops of all time. Like today, that bag that I would have spent probably like $1,000 on would have been like at least $500,000, something like that. That's assuming I didn't sell it, of course. Yeah. But they literally revolutionized the game with optimization of fees and gas, and which is a big problem in crypto and all these things. And so that was super painful, but it also was like, this is real and I'm onto something. And I feel like I have a picture of why that worked. Backtracking. There's another project that I won't name, but I was like, these guys are gonna sell out, so I need to like work with them. So I was gonna do some PR for them. And this project, I actually was gonna do it, but for some reason, I like backed out, and at the time I didn't know why. Bro, they ended up selling out, made it like a few $1 million. They posted on Twitter, sorry guys, this was fun, but we're not doing this anymore. They deleted the Twitter. That happens a lot in projects. Yes. That's not the worst part. the problem in NFT space is there hadn't been a lot of accountability when stuff like that happens. It's not, a lot of stuff isn't doxed, right? Their identity isn't known. But they sent their little, anonymous crypto here. Eventually it hit a KYC account, know your customer. So and the feds showed up to their door in LA, some two 20-year-old kids, arrested them, and they're going to be in jail for maybe 20 years. The worst part though is like, I would have been their PR agent.
Yeah, that would have been. Talk about bad PR.
Oh man, yeah, and it just would have, so many things would have. I probably would have been so burned by the space that I would have never touched it again.
How do you like? It's an interesting point though. Like, I move into circles with like some young people, but also I know a lot of like old business guys, like old heads who like hate crypto.
Sure.
And I'm on the line. I do some, but I'm not well versus either of you, especially you. What about the accountability side? Like, what do you think happens? Do you think the SEC gets more involved? Do you think the FTC gets more involved? Like, how do you think?
Yeah, so
what's the future of that in your mind?
I think they're definitely going to get involved because people are really, like, if I toss $500 in it and I lose it, it's like, oh man, I lost 500. Somebody else was like, this is the one, and put money they shouldn't have invested in that, and then you have a lot of people doing that. So these guys sold out their project and they made a couple $1 million. When the Fed showed up at their door, they were literally in the process of getting their other one ready to launch.
Dude.
To do it again. Dude. That's dark. That's like very not good. And so I think that like SEC, things like that will definitely get involved more and more. I mean, I don't know. For me, I'm definitely move more carefully with, if I ever do something like that again, who I will work with. And another thing I may do is work with projects that have already launched, sold out, have a track record, things like that. But yeah, that was an experience because I saw like it was going viral everywhere, and I was like, oh, that was a project that I still have the DMs that I was talking about. But it's crazy because I was going to work with them and they kept hitting me up. We're gonna do this, and I just like, I don't feel this anymore. Like,
It's a good point that entrepreneurs gotta trust their gut a little bit, though.
Yeah.
That's a big point. What's it called? So there's a lot of projects coming out now to where there's like a time frame where you can't sell on a project. I'm not sure what it's called, but where it'd be like 3 or 4 days before you can get rid of like your equity into the project, essentially.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many of those. I personally don't like that too much. I did one that was kind of like that, but it was more just in good faith that I wouldn't sell because I did PR for a project and they airdropped me a decent amount of NFTs. And so it was going to be all profit whenever I sold. And they were like, hey, just so you don't bring our what's called floor price down, don't sell. But to have products where like the code of the smart contract, which is like the code, doesn't let you sell, like I don't.
I guess you don't feel like it cuts down on people doing pump and dumps, because I guess that was the original intention for it, right?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I think people will find ways to try to exploit it. There's a 15-year-old, I just saw this yesterday. He made 17 million in NFTs over the last.
You're disgusted. You're disgusted.
You know what's crazy though? Most of it was off of 2 projects, and one of them just happened a few days ago. And don't quote me on the specifics of it, but basically what he did, and he like oddly like gave everyone his kind of scummy game plan on Twitter, like this is what I did, and then deleted it later. But he like set up these bots and whatnot to where you should only be able to get 1 or 2 of the project that's like, if you can get it, is going to make you a lot. He had bots getting him unlimited.
Jeff is sick. All that stress you put your body through 30 years.
15.
This 15-year-old kid
in his mom's basement.
Yeah.
Getting people.
Technically, I don't even think he was old enough to
have a project.
It was one of them was from the company that made Bored Ape Yacht Club.
Yeah.
And they had to do KYC to be able to mint these, and I'm pretty sure you got to be 18. He's 15.
Man, that's what scares me about NFTs, because I hear all the horror stories. You hear things about crypto and whatnot, but I'm in the
What's your perspective on it? Because you know a lot of guys in the league who mess with that stuff.
I don't know enough of it to even have a perspective on it beside the horrors that I hear. But I think it's the future, to be honest with you. I mean, it's one of those things like early internet. It's something you don't quite understand now, but 20 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever it might be, we'll know a lot more.
And most projects, to be completely fair, like are not worthwhile. past a couple of days.
Yeah. It is a weird thing, and I've heard Gary, which I don't know why we brought him up more than one occasion on this podcast. Not like a crazy endorsement, just say like I've heard Gary talk before about the idea that like with anything else, 90% of stuff people put out is going to be. It's like it's like e-com companies. 99% of e-com companies suck. The product they release is not that good. It's not going to make that much money, and 1% of them are going to do great. You're saying it's kind of the same thing in this space?
It's the exact same thing. Like I can create an NFT and distribute it on my phone now in the OpenSea app. That doesn't mean it's going to do anything, but it's also like it's sad, but a lot of people make their game plan with this other one I just described, which is tell people we're going to do this, 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 and this.
Yeah.
And so I think that is where, the accountability and the future of the space is up in the air.
You have to show me how to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to create a cookie society.
Oh, for sure. No, you got to
cookie
do
society
that for sure.
would be sick.
I'm not going to screw anybody over, guys.
Yeah,
I'm going to do it the right way.
So an example, like there's, I've seen companies do this. So like anyone that owns a cookie society NFT, like it goes up in value, whatever, like can come and, has a lifetime, like they can come and get a cookie in Frisco, whatever, like that.
That's cool.
So I've seen stuff like that, like a pizza place did it, something like that.
That's super cool. Yeah, you really should look into stuff like that.
Definitely, I definitely want to accept crypto at some point. Looking into that.
Hey, here's a question. Sorry, we're getting to a lot of, I guess not technical stuff, but I saw Elon say with the whole Twitter stuff he's buying, I saw him say that he's interested in exploring an option where everybody's verified, as to like cut down on bots. What would you?
He said that about verification?
Yes, the idea would be that like every human is verified, and like you can only get verification as like the technology basically that it would verify that like Jeff's a real human, not that he's like popular or famous.
Sure, but it would be a blue check.
Yeah.
So I mean that's the thing. Like, sure, if you did that, you could cut down on bots, but at the end of the day, the point of a blue check isn't supposed to be is a person a real person. It's supposed to be is this person notable. So if you're in the NFL, it's more important than the average person that fake accounts aren't pretending to be you.
Yeah.
And telling your fans, hey, send me money here.
Yeah.
So verification is supposed to be for, the celebrities, the artists, the people who need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll give the celebrities 2 checks.
Yeah.
What do you think about Elon buying Twitter? Like, what's been your process watching?
I don't have too many deep thoughts about it. I mean, hopefully,
Hopefully it does good by you guys.
Yeah.
Do you, as a person who operates the majority of their income from social media sites, pay attention to like the strategy of sites, what they're doing? Or do you not?
I have to. I mean, for verification, for example, they change a lot of things all the time. Twitter and YouTube for me are not ones I do all the time, but it's like available. But yeah, I'm always trying to think about what is happening on Facebook, on Instagram, on things like that, and try to be ahead of it.
Yeah, I love that. You got any more questions?
Oh man, this has been great.
I got 2 more things I want to ask. I just want to give you a chance. He complains about that I talk too much, and it's a problem I have.
He does talk a lot, but it's okay.
No, it's not that. I just get caught up in my own thoughts. I want to know, one, what should people do who are interested in entrepreneurship but don't want to take on like the traditional route?
Absolutely.
The untraditional route of entrepreneurship. Start with that one.
So if somebody wants to do more of like the internet entrepreneurship stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like you're going to need skills.
Yes.
And so, for example, I learned Facebook ads from a course.
Was it a good course?
At the time, yeah. I think that...
Whose was it?
It was Sam Evans, Consulting Accelerator.
Yeah.
But at the time, the interface probably looks different now.
Yeah.
But I didn't... when you buy a course, don't buy the course expecting the course and the person to change your life. You need to be the type of person that is going to say, if I'm going to spend money on this course, I'm going to extract something from it.
Yes.
I'm going to figure out how I can like apply this.
Yes.
Another thing I would say is find somebody that is already doing it in the internet entrepreneur space and see how you can do sales for them.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah.
You can do, let's say I have a PR agency and I'm getting my leads from Facebook ads. If you're like, hey Kyle, can I send 50 DMs a day and you give me a cut of anything I close? Like, why would I? Yeah. Unless I'm at capacity, like
there's no downside for you.
Yeah. Or if you can learn to sell on the phone, like those are skills you're gonna need. Because not everyone I talk to is just like, here's my credit card.
Yeah.
I have to explain to them and I don't want to say convince, but explain to them that what I can provide is going to give them what they want or need. Yeah. So I think work on skill development and don't try to get to the place that of all the people you see right now tomorrow, because you're going to get frustrated and burn out.
You have the gift of gab, obviously. Like, you're a good talker. Do you rely on that for your sales mostly, or did you do like traditional sales training?
No, honestly, man, like I really focus on creating offers that like sell themselves, and then I kind of close it. So like I have this framework that I think of with offer creation, and it's this. And I literally shared this on Clubhouse, and the audience is silent. They're like, this sounds so stupid. Like, But it's what I have used for all my stuff. And it's, think of something within your industry that is not true, but if it were true, it would sell, then find a way to make it true. Think of something in your industry that is not true, but if it were true, it would sell, then find a way to make it true. For example, if I tell people, and it was this was the case, I can help you land a speaking gig no matter who you are in 7 days. Yes. At the time, that wasn't true. But if it was true, I know it would sell. So now I need to turn everything off and spend all my time and attention saying, how can I make this true? Yeah. And I've done that for PR, for verification, for speaking stuff. Yeah. To where they're like, I want to do it, but I don't believe it's true. Then my only job is to explain to them testimonial, this, that, or the other, refund policy, that risk-free is true. Yeah. That's a crazy good model. Maybe they were silent because they were in astonishment of how smart that is. Do what? Maybe Clubhouse was in silence because they were in astonishment. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like you're using lines that are like flipped and like all that kind of stuff. But that's super smart. I like that a lot. I think we do something similar with even our offer. Like, our close rate's gotten better the more you know what it is. You shouldn't play the game that everybody else in your like industry's playing. If everyone's selling one thing, just don't sell that thing. Yeah. Find a way to reframe it. Like, that's 90% of this is like, an average agency call the person who's talked to us talked to 6 other agencies, right? Yeah. So like, if the 6 other agencies you've talked to all say the same thing, and we say something different, even that alone. That's the thing. Like, if you just copy everything that you're seeing within your space, you don't want to compete with the other people in your space just on price. No, not at all. You're gonna race to the bottom. You're gonna race to unprofitability faster than you can possibly imagine. Yeah. Like Alex Hormozi talks about it, like, you want to have a price that is like, so it raises eyebrows. Like, why is it expensive? Yeah, don't come to me for cheap. Oh yeah, I'm not the cheapest. No. But we are the best, right? That's what you want to be. Yeah. Deliver the best results, and but I would say, just to close it out and bring it full circle, like, when you met me and I was doing the $19 thing, I think that is what has shifted so much for me over the last couple of years. I would think, why would somebody spend $10,000, $20,000, whatever? It's because we're providing them something that for them is going to ROI even more, or they see value in it in this or that way. And that's like getting yourself out of the picture and just saying, like, how can I really serve this customer and get them what they want? I love it. This is my last question. I think this is a good one to end on. Knowing you personally, you're someone who holds faith really seriously. You even mentioned a lot throughout this about Christ, whatever else. I've known nothing but like good character things from you since I've known you. How do you maintain, hey, I want to conquer the world, but also I love God, I love my family, I want to manage. Like, what's the balance like for you? Oh, that's such a good question. Yeah. It's my wife, man. I mean, there's of course a lot of people in my life that help with that, but like, if I make $1 million this month, like, we'll go celebrate at Nick and Sam's, and she'll be, happy for me and proud of me, but like, she's not proud of me because of that. And if I'm making crazy money, but I'm not right with the Lord, and I'm not tithing, and I'm, not spending time with him, she would be disappointed even though I'm making money. Yeah. She would be disappointed if I'm taking over the world, but my soul isn't anchored in Christ. And so, she'll check me. She does. She'll check me for sure. And having, a wife is great, but also like the right person, who like the success and taking over, that's great. They're proud of you. But like, if you lost that or didn't have that, that's not why they're there in the first place. You hear that, fellas? Yeah. I love that. Get somebody that doesn't need you, but you need them. Yeah. That's good. That's it. That's the answer to your question. I love that.